Hi friends, it's Monica with Nourish Functional Nutrition, and today I'm coming from my kitchen. I was getting ready to make some plantains for lunch, and I thought you might enjoy learning how to peel a plantain, how to cook a plantain. I grew up in Colombia, South America, and this is a major staple in Colombia, so I thought I might show it to you, show you what I'm going to do today. So I have 3 plantains here, and they're green. So green plantains are very starchy, and when they ripen, they're sweet. And so I have chosen to cook a green plantain. We call this Tostones, and I will show you exactly how to peel a plantain and how to cook it. So there's going to be a couple of ways to do this. So in order to do that, we have green plantains, a sharp knife, cutting board, some tongs. I have some parchment paper over here in case we need it, if we want to warm them up in the oven. I have some solid cooking fat today. I chose to use coconut oil. I have something to mash them with, and this is river stone, and they're cheap, they're free. And I actually use this just to mash anything in my kitchen. So I don't have a tool. I just use this because this is what we used when we were growing up, and it's just so handy. And I have a spatula, and we'll get started. So, my cooking pot is a cast iron skillet. I just prefer it because it cooks evenly and it's very easy to clean. So let's get started. So in order to cut a plantain, you just take the ends off. Like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of ways. One would be to just open it up like so. You take the tip of the knife, and as you're cutting it, you kind of pull the skin away from the plantain and peel it. One of the things that you learn very quickly when you are peeling plantains is that you don't want to use your nail because that skin can get right under it, and it's really painful. So what I do is my oven is ready. I'm preheating my oven at 300 degrees just in case we want to keep them warm. And the reason for that is because sometimes you can't keep up with cooking them and then keeping them warm, and they're so much nicer when you have them warm and ready to go. So there's my plantain. Another way of peeling these is again by cutting the ends off, and you can just cut them in half and half again. So just like this, and that just makes it a bit easier, faster maybe. And so that's going to give us an opportunity to cut our plantains in 2 different angles, and you can decide which one you like best. Plantain is a great source of prebiotic starch. Prebiotic is different than a probiotic. A probiotic is basically your gut bacteria, and the gut bacteria is in the large intestine. The reason why it's so good is because the gut bacteria protects us against disease and against the environment. In the large intestine, we have millions of bacteria. We actually have more bacteria than we have cells in our body. We have like 10, scientists have calculated, about 10 bacteria for every cell in our bodies. And those are the guys that are sentinels. They just protect us against anything bad. So we want to keep them fed. And this feeds them. This is a prebiotic. A prebiotic starch feeds the probiotic bacteria, and it's also called resistant starch. And it's resistant starch because it resists the small intestine digestion. I'm going to go ahead and turn my stove on, medium heat, and then I'm going to get my fat going. Like I said, I'm using coconut oil today, but you can use lard, you can use any render fat from any animal. You can use avocado oil if you rather use the liquid fat, but don't use olive oil. Olive oil is not for cooking. Olive oil is for using cold. And so since I started with these, cutting them half or lengthwise, I'm going to start with one plantain like that. The other one, I'm going to cut in little chunks, like so. And you will see, and you can decide what looks better and what feels more comfortable for you to cook. As I was saying, the prebiotic starch is so important for us. You want starch that bypasses the small intestine and goes straight to the large intestine, where the bacteria, the probiotics, will eat on this, will feed on this, and actually digest it for us. So when you look at in studies, they have seen that actually when you use prebiotic starch, the blood sugar doesn't go as high. So if you have challenges regulating your blood sugar, this is going to be a lot easier for you to digest and metabolize than something like a potato, for example. So this is loads and loads of nutrients and very good for you. Very easily digestible. I'm going to go ahead and I have these ready. Something else that I have is a plate, or actually I have cookie sheet here lined with paper towels. I'm going to put it right here. And then I also have another cookie sheet that I'm going to use in case we need to keep them warm, depending on how long this is. So cooking plantains, when they're starchy like this or green, is very easy, and it provides you with a starch that is kind of like a potato. It's like a starch in your diet, and it's very versatile. When the plantains are ripe and they're sweet, you cook them differently. You can either bake them or you can also fry them, but they're going to be very sweet. They're going to taste more like a banana, and that sweetness could raise your blood sugar. So that ripe plantain is more like a banana as far as carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates is going to be higher glycemic index. So glycemic index is how much your blood sugar is going to rise in response to a sugar load or a starch load. And so sugars and carbohydrates are on. Carbohydrate is a type of sugar. So carbohydrates could be either complex or they could be simple. And when they're simple is when the sugars are available and readily available, and they could spike your insulin levels, your blood sugar levels. So you want to have complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates in your diet, and that way your blood sugar will stay even, because the goal is to have blood sugars that are even and regulated so that you don't have those crashes. You know, crashes come whenever you have a lot of simple carbohydrates, a lot of sugar in your system. That's why donuts and coffee, not a good idea. So anyway, these are going to be so yummy. My fat is hot, and we're going to test it by adding one little one. And as soon as it starts bubbling, then we will know. So the process is going to take 2 stages. So first, we're going to cook them until they're yellow on both sides. We just flip them. It's like 3 minutes. You wait till they're yellow, and then you flip them, and you drain, or you take them out of the hot pan, and then you mash them, and you put them again in the hot fat, and that's going to take only like about a minute, and then they'll be ready. One of the most delicious ways of eating these is with a little bit of guacamole on top. If you go to my website, if you follow me, I have a ton of recipes in my website, and if you want my guacamole recipe, just look for it, because it will be there very soon. It will come out whenever I post this, which is going to be in the next couple of days. So by the time you see this, my recipes will be ready on the website. And my website is nourishedfunctionalnutrition.com. You can get there also by typing nourished with an ED, FN, so for functional nutrition, nourishedfn.com. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and also on my website. And if you like this, if you like what I'm doing, leave me a comment, give me the thumbs up, let me know how I'm doing. And if there's anything that you want to know, I'm here for you. My goal is to give you lots of resources, give you lots of information so that you have a place to go to get good nutrition information. So I practice from the functional nutrition side, and functional nutrition meaning getting your body back to functioning. So our bodies are just one complex system, and unfortunately we have for way too long looked at the body as different compartments. We have looked at it as, your head hurts, you go to the neurologist. Your stomach hurts, you go to the gastroenterologist. Your knee hurts, you go to the orthopedic surgeon. And in the functional nutrition arena, we say everything is connected. So when you're eating well and you're providing your body with what it needs, your body will function. And if it's not functioning right now, then let's look and see what is going on, what we can change. So I'm going to start flipping these. And you can see how golden they get. The objective is to get them to cook thoroughly, but not completely. So in other words, you don't want them to be brown. You just want them to be yellow, just like you see that they are here. Sometimes your fat may get too hot, and in that case, I either lower the temperature or I turn it off completely. I just don't want this fat to break down. When fat breaks down, it gets oxidized, and that's not good for us. It's not good for us to smell it burning, and it's not good for us to eat it. So it's very important that when we are frying something like this, that we keep the temperature in check. And so these are almost done. I'm going to set these raw ones aside so that I can show you what we're going to do with the ones that are coming out. I like to cut these kind of thin so that I don't have to use so much fat and they will cook. So this one, for example, is ready to go. So is the little one that I started out with. And these thinner ones are done. These are so yummy. You can top these with all kinds of things. Salsa, guacamole, and something that I call ají. Ají is just like chimichurri sauce. It's just cilantro, green onions, a little vinegar, and some olive oil and salt. That's it. And we put that on everything in Colombia. If you ever go to Colombia, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's in every restaurant, on every table. So I'm going to make these long ones also, so you can see what they look like. So these are, when we mash those, they're going to be elongated, and they're going to be a little bit more, they'll have more surface area. Okay, so while those cook there, we're going to mash the ones that we just took out. So a couple of batches here for a couple of plantains. Okay, so at this point, I take out a piece of parchment paper, set it on my cutting board, set 2 or 3 or 4 of these. And we're going to mash them. I'm telling you, do not be intimidated by this. This is so easy to do. They look like this. and they'll be ready to be cooked. Just a little bit. Sometimes they may fall apart because they're not completely cooked all the way, and all you have to do is put them together. It doesn't matter, really, it doesn't matter if they fall apart. I like them thin because when they're thin, they tend to get crispier. So I would really like to hear what you guys think about this, because to me this is just home, and I love it. I just love cooking things from home. I love that they're so healthy and that they're so good for us. And I love sharing with you. Love sharing what I have learned and helping you get better, helping you get healthier, because it's been a long road for me, and I don't want your road to be so long. So let's flip these. It's all about eating food from the earth, food that comes directly from the ground. And it's good for you. It's not from a factory. It's not from something that was manufactured or was not meant to be food, but this is the real thing. You may hear my little dogs in the background. They're eating right now, but if we get them out, they're going to start barking. And even though they're very cute, they can get loud. So you'll hear them in the background, and you've seen them in my other videos. They're very, very cute. My sidekicks. These are all ready to be cooked again. And these guys getting a little too brown. Turning down the heat, and I'm also going to add a little bit more fat to my pan to be ready for my next batch. This guy is not completely done, so I'm leaving him in a little longer. This one's not done either. And these guys have a little bit more to go. So I turned down the stove because it's smoking a little bit. So I'm going to add some fat here to cool it down and to have more volume. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and make our first batch with the second cooking, and you can see how fast these guys are gonna be done. Sometimes they fall apart, but it's no big deal. There we go. And these are going to be done very, very fast. I'm going to use a paper towel on this other cookie sheet just to let them drain a little bit of the fat, and then I'll put them in the oven while we make the next batch, and everything will be done, and it's going to be amazing. So we just salt these, and they can be eaten instead of potatoes. There we go. They're golden and delicious. You can tell that when they're pink like this, they're not completely done, so you want to keep them in a little longer so they brown. These are great appetizer bites. So this is the final product, Tostones from Colombia, made by a Colombian woman. You can find me on my website at nourishedfunctionalnutrition.com or nourishedfn.com. You can reach me at monica@nourishedfn.com. Wish you were here. I'm going to take a bite of this because this just seems so yummy. These are so good, you guys. A little guacamole, a little salsa. You can use them anytime. Have a great day. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.